Coming to you on this beautiful, snowy Christmas Eve. Hello, everybody. Sean Bray, Sean Barnard. All things NBA Christmas card coming your way with a look back at what took place in the association last night between the Sixers and the Spurs. Merry Christmas, Sean Barnard. How are we doing today?
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Sean Brace. I can't complain here. The snow's on the ground, the vibes are high. I love Christmas season. So yeah, can't be mad at all over here. Coming off the best Sixers win of the season last night.
Are the Sixers back, Sean Barnard?
Oh, they're back, Sean Brace. I'm back in. That's all. I do think last night was the best win of the season for a lot of reasons here. For starters, the biggest thing to me is that is the first time that felt like a team win. Everybody bought in together. That I felt that from that team. I get it's nice to win 4 straight games over the Charlotte Hornets and squeak by when Joel's in and out every other game here. But last night was one where the team looked like they were all in, and the Spurs are a respectable squad there. So a good win, and the Sixers are in fact back, I think.
Sucking me back in.
That's right.
We all knew it would happen eventually. Maxey. And shame on me. And I've told you this before when I had my stance of being a little bit over the top and season's doomed and it's over. And it was just like, all right, like Maxey was out. And I know I was feeling a certain type of way. And it wasn't at the forefront of the conversation. I still think it's an uphill battle. I still think that this team is doomed for and doomed maybe a little bit strong because we got a lot of hoop to be played, but things aren't going right, and I don't think I have to explain myself on that. I think we can all agree on that. But it is December 24th. Sixers have won a bunch of games. They got they got Boston tomorrow, then Utah. So we'll see. Of course, they're 10-point underdogs tomorrow on DraftKings Sportsbook. And Sean Barnard, you texted something last night. Do you believe that, or is that what?
I think the Magic's in the air, Sean Brace. I think the Sixers have a chance tomorrow. I really do. That for starters, the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, a late scratch last night with an illness. We'll know more about his status probably later today or closer to tip off. That there hasn't been much known yet. I saw in the ESPN app he's listed as out, but I'm pretty confident that is a carryover from last night and that there'll be more about that status. But regardless, I think the Sixers team it's more internal here, and that's been the story of the season. It felt like last night was a victory that there was some fire with this team, and Joel obviously not playing. He was ejected in the second quarter there, and we can get into that as well. He should have some fresh legs and be out there ready to roll there. We're seeing still the version of Joel Embiid that we want to on the floor. I was pretty impressed in the brief version that we did see of him last night, how he was in attack mode, take on Victor Wembanyama one-on-one, being hungry with the ball in his hands. I think that all carries over, and the Boston Celtics are the real deal. There's no doubt about it, but it does feel to me like this one might be written in the stars a little bit, that the Sixers need a bit of a signature win to wake up the rest of the NBA, and tomorrow's a perfect opportunity to get that.
All right. Plus 350 on the money line, DraftKings Sportsbook. You heard Sean Barnard. Plus 350, minus 455 for the Celtics. 222 is our total. That is a 5 p.m. tip. And, of course, as I said, 10-point spread. We'll talk more about that game, give you a couple more plays as far as throughout the course of the day tomorrow with the 5 NBA games. Nobody playing tonight. The association has the complete night off, only college football this evening, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that is correct. Yeah, we got one college football game, South Florida and San Jose State. As far as anything else, obviously no NFL, although they do play every other day. So yeah, that's it. That's all we have tonight is one college football game to go off of, and then from there tomorrow, NBA 5 games. We'll get into all those games tomorrow, as I said, on DraftKings Sportsbook. Now let's go ahead and take it back to last night. I would love to open up and talk about Tyrese Maxey, 32 points in the fourth quarter, shined, steal, hits the 3, the dagger, 12 points in the fourth quarter of the Sixers' 27 total points, Sean Barnard. But we can't. We have to talk about what took place with Jenna Schroeder.
Yep.
Now, Sean, you're a guy that is dialed into the NBA. I think I am. You are more so to me. But I think I pay attention. I am a guy that once the season starts, I feel like you can't, if you really are interested in bringing the right angles and talking about this daily on the right side of things, even then I get plenty of things wrong. You have to pay attention. You have to, and we've been doing the podcast from the beginning. I don't think I've ever seen this girl before.
Yeah, I mean, she's been around. I wouldn't say crazy long. I think she's fairly new. I'm familiar with who she is and have seen her referee games before. I guess my preface would be, if you do know a referee's name, it's probably not a good thing here. That if there's a Joey Crawford or a Scott Foster that you're well aware of and know on a first name basis here, probably not the best sign here. I do think it was poor refereeing from Jenna Schroeder last night, and I do think that I would call her a repeat offender for stuff like that. So I wasn't impressed with it last night. Shout out to our guy, Nick Johnson, who was front and center, getting all the videos out, some inside the huddle stuff there of her apologizing and things like that. So some pretty cool behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, I'm familiar with her. She's been around. And last night, I think, speaks for itself.
Yeah. Can we get more camera footage? Could people have their phones out a little bit more from those seats? Like, I feel like Nick took us into a whole new world yesterday.
Yeah.
And all right, so let's back it up again. And Luke Arcane checking in. Everyone knows the season doesn't start until Christmas, anyways. All right,
That's right.
well, that's what we've been told. We'll see. So DeAndre Drummond. First, I guess the first thing that hits me from last night is like, really, Wemby, really, you're flopping, Wemby. And oh, by the way, dude, way too many threes, like way outside. Dude, he's a freak. Get down low. I know it's a different day and age, but come on, like. Am I wrong to think about that from the perspective of an opposing coach, Sean, that if Victor Wembanyama doesn't shoot from anything inside the paint, and there's some glaring numbers, some stats that came out of last night, especially in the second half, besides fourth quarter, like, is that a win in your book? Like keeping Wemby out of the paint?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly intentional on his end. That's what he wants as well. He's attempting over 9 3-point attempts per game this season. He shot as many as 16 in a game this year. That's like the regular part of his shot diet. I personally feel like I think there's more diverse ways to use him and that he can be way more effective when you are trying to get him downhill a little bit, use his size. We know what like the length advantage that he has when he just gets around the basket there. He's obviously not the most filled out human being in the world, and I do think he gets pushed off the spot. I thought even last night we saw that a little bit with matchups like Drummond, and obviously the pushing and shoving there kind of stealing the spotlight there. But just in regular post scenarios, it's not like he does really have the ability to back somebody down. I think it's something that he's going to grow into as he has more experience and really just ages and fills into his body a little more. I do think it does need to be changed. I think him shooting 9 threes a game is pretty absurd. And again, a lot of this is the modernization of the NBA, and that's the norm for a lot of players, particularly young players here. But I think Wemby is such a unique talent that you have to find more unique ways to match that and use him. So I agree with you. I think the shot diet for Wemby this year has really stood out to me as something that needs improvement.
Yeah, very odd watching that, on the TV and a little bit more in detail with everything going on with the Sixers. But all right, let's put that to the side. And then obviously the flopping, like, come on, man, really? Like, Wemby, you don't have to flop. Now, look, I am totally like, I can understand what Joel Embiid, his theatrics have, whether it's fair or unfair, but the way people view him on a lot of this stuff is he is a little bit of a flopper. He is a guy that, put your hand out, he's going to get you, which is great. It's all part of the game. I'm fine with it. But I don't know, something about what Wemby did last night felt fraudulent. And I'm not a fan of flopping, period. But like the Drummond stuff, come on.
Yeah.
And then to come back, look, and again, we have to ask ourselves, are we viewing it the wrong way? Because I think we have to take it one part at a time, even though it all combines. Let's start with the Drummond nonsense, though. What is your take on how Jenna Schroeder handled that? Who was right? Who was wrong? Again, the whole situation. Kyle Neubeck said that was the worst officiated game he's ever seen.
A lot of people have said that.
Yeah. So it's
And
like, all right.
Benici has said that, who obviously has seen plenty of basketball as well. I've seen
Jeez.
like some notable people with those takes on the timeline.
Yeah, and look, it felt like those guys, those other referees at the end of the night were like, ask her.
Yeah.
She had something going on, man. She was fired up and she didn't want to back down. And look, plenty of dude refs have been bad at their jobs on a night. Like, I don't know who this girl is. I wish her the best. She had a bad night. I think we could all move on, but it was ugly last night. So start with the original Drummond call.
So the original Drummond call, I would say I wouldn't have called it, but I can understand the first technical for Drummond basically pushing Wembanyama there. And then it was as animated as I've ever seen Andre Drummond, a pretty even-keeled guy, incredibly nice guy that doesn't really let his emotions show on the court that much other than a little bit of celebration there. He was fired up. He was yelling at Wemby, trying to look him eye and eye, calling him soft directly to his face there. And it was a version of Andre Drummond that I really had not seen before. The play resumes after the free throw technical is taken there. They drop back down in the paint, and it's basically the same kind of hand checking, light pushing, which, to be honest, happens in every single out of bounds play. You watch any of those, that's sort of just what happens there. Guys are fighting for position, guys are battling there, and Andre was clearly trying to get in on Wembanyama there. I do respect Wemby's answer a little bit after the game, and to read his quote here, shout out to Aaron Bracey, who's caught up with him after the game. He said, quote, he was asked what happened with the Andre Drummond incident, and Wemby said, quote, just stepped on my foot and I fell. That's it. I just got tripped. I didn't mean to fall. I didn't expect the foul to be called. I just fell. So I can kind of understand it from, I do think it's fair to say he's still a little bit clumsy at this point. How can you not be when you have 7'5" and an 8-foot wingspan with limbs flying all over the place there? So that might be more of the story from the Wembanyama perspective. But to me, like, everyone was watching to see that happen. It was a very light fall from Wemby here. This was not Drummond shoving him out of the way. And then to directly eject him there was pretty insane to give him a second tee for that. And then obviously, I've never seen this before, really. Drummond gets sent, goes underneath the tunnel, and then immediately it's reversed to a flopping penalty on Wembanyama. Andre's throwing his jersey back on as he's running up the tunnel and immediately checking back into the game here. So I think a lot of it could have been avoided. I think the second technical was incredibly unnecessary, and I think should never have been remotely thought about being called in the first place there. I can kind of see the first one, but that's where it should have stopped. And I kind of have a similar outlook on the Joel Embiid stuff, but I do think the Drummond one was more egregious.
Yeah, look, and again, I'm following up by saying that there has been quick technicals all the way across this league. Russ got one for looking. We've seen multiple players getting teched for looking. So, again, this is just a referee who had a terrible night, but I want to back it up and say, like, in normal procedure, if she thought that Drummond got pushed or pushed Wemby, like, don't you go meet with the other referees instead of saying gone? Like, shouldn't there be a meeting? What did you see? I'm fine with calling it a foul. It's a foul. Somebody hit the floor, like, if you got to call it, that's fine. But to go immediately to the technical, like, I don't think I've ever, again, we've seen it, but I can't recall it. And I just thought that was a glaring issue. Like, well, wait a minute. She's not even, I believe she wasn't the leader of the, the captain of the referee for that for that game as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she was not. I mean, I've certainly seen that call where that's a technical, and that particularly on out of bounds, if it is a foul called before the ball is inbounded by rule, it is automatically a technical there.
You're right. You're right.
Part of it as well. I get the first one. I can live with the technical. The second one, and by the way, like, I personally, when viewing it at this point, and I think everyone kind of had the same outlook, because I was zeroed in just watching Andre Drummond and Wembanyama, because they were just chirping with each other. Drummond was going at it and clearly resumed their spot after this sort of altercation just happened. So I was locked in watching this, and immediately we see Wemby go down without much effort there. I'll live with the excuse. I want to like Wemby. I won't lie. I did have that feeling watching last night where it felt a little corny, and I thought he was playing soft and doing stuff that he didn't need to as far as the flopping there. I'll live with the explanation of him being clumsy after the game and that being nothing more than that. But the reality is this is a refereeing issue to me. It shouldn't have been called. It was disruptive to the game. Everyone wants to see these guys play. And frankly, they became the star of the show in a way that does not need to happen.
Yeah, she clearly did. That's for sure. All right, then to the next one. But here's Sean. The more we talk about this, I just want to be upfront and say, like, she definitely was aggressive, but man, like, okay, if you're telling me that's an automatic technical foul, which I believe you're right, did she do anything wrong?
I don't think the second one should have been called at all. That's, to me, a play on, no whistle should have been thrown. Like, guys hit the floor, and it doesn't mean it's automatically a foul. If anything, they just got tangled. Like, the second one, Andre didn't shove him by any means. Yes. They got tangled. They tripped. Like, it's just not a foul to me. Like, play on. There should not have been a disruption to the game is sort of how I feel there. And I think, like, particularly on the heels of, like, it was very clearly that, like, it was more intentional in the first go around the second one. So if we're talking about de-escalating the situation, you were on your way back down is kind of how I feel about that. So I just want to let it rock completely on that second one.
All right. Then next thing you know, Joel comes up the court and Wemby's holding it down at the top of the key, right inside the free throw line area. And Joel goes into him to a point to the naked eye. It looked like, all right, there's contact. Both players are on the floor. I got to call something. And immediately my gut reaction was Joel Embiid charge. Now, reviewing, it didn't look as egregious. It looked like there wasn't even a whole lot of contact, right? If I'm not mistaken. And I was just like, all right, like, did she do anything wrong there? Because you got to call something with 2 bodies on the floor like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was bang, bang. Joel was very clearly trying to draw a foul. Wembanyama had 3 fouls in the second quarter at this point, and we know what Joel Embiid does. When he smells the blood in the water, when he has guy in foul trouble, he's going to try and get him out of this game, and that's exactly what was going on there. I don't even have a problem with it being called an offensive foul on Joel in live time. I certainly see the perspective that that was the case, and I think there's a pretty strong case that that's the right call there. So I don't have an issue with that. And then I guess my biggest issue with the whole thing is it just felt super trigger happy and premature for the rest of the interaction. That she gave the tee to Joel. I mean, guys are going to get mouthy. Guys were mouthy all game last night. The tee I thought was quick with Joel the first time. And then when that happens, kind of the deal is you got to take it a little bit. That's sort of the politics of the NBA. When you give it technical early, then you got to let the guy say their piece, and that's the end of it. That's basically how it played out. Joel said his piece, and then she hit him with a second technical, and that's when he really lost his mind. And on one hand here, for sure, Joel Embiid is 30 years old. You would hope that he has a little bit of a calmer head on his shoulders at this point, and we've seen him do this for years. Ideally, he's not screaming at refs and needing to be held back on the bench, which is what transpired once this all went down. But I do think I still look at this as a root of the issue conversation. I don't have an issue with the foul call. I can even live with the one technical, but anything beyond that is super extreme to me, and that's exactly what went down there. So I want to clear that Joel never made contact with her. This was purely verbal, and him yelling at her and discussing the call here. There shouldn't be anything to worry about beyond last night. I would be surprised if he even catches a fine for it. I think there's a slight chance of that, but in reality, I think it's play on and we move on. But I think it was super egregious to go anything beyond the first technical there.
I hear you, and I want to be with you on this. I do, and it's just, I think I thought he was super egregious. I thought Joel Embiid saw blood in the water with her. He was, again, like, I don't want to clear her at all because, like, they need to de-escalate it. And clearly you can't just separate one from the other. It's all in totality. The place was buzzing. People are fired up. People are there to see Joel Embiid and Victor Wembanyama go head to head. So, like, I'm with you. I want to agree, but man, Joel Embiid charged after her. And like, I'm fine with the first technical. Okay. And I'm with you. I think we're in agreement. Like, he was in her face. He goes over there and he is still animated. Who knows what's being said? It was quick, and I'm with you. Like, in my bottom of my heart, I want to say, like, yeah, shut up. Go over there. Allow him to say whatever he wants. But man, he had to be held back. Well, he had to be held back after the second technical, though. Correct.
And that's kind of the point that I was going to stick in, because I was Zapruder filming this last night and trying to figure out the whole time. Like, he didn't really lose his mind until after he was already ejected. Like, in the whole process of things, he obviously went up, got the foul called, made a beeline to her, was arguing, got the first technical, and then there was a little kind of continuing to chirp, and he was even like sort of walking away, still kind of spitting back at her. That's when she hit him with the second tee, and that's when he really lost his mind. So I don't think he went crazy until he was already ejected there, which I feel his opinion here that he shouldn't have been thrown out for that, and then you got to kind of get your money's worth at that point is sort of how I think Joel viewed it.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Right. And it's just like, come on, man. At the end of the day, these guys and girls need to realize nobody's showing up to see you ref a game.
Right.
And it's a competitive ball game. You got two unbelievable forces. Things are going to be said. It is what it is. But man, last night clearly was a bad spot for the league. I thought the league looks bad. I thought the refs looked bad. I thought JoJo looked bad. I hate the fact that it's a female ref out there and Joel is charging at her, like, and it was brought up on NBA TV. Like, I understand that. I hear that, but at the end of the day, we can't view it as that's a girl and I need to, no, like, dude, we're out there. It's, I hate to say it, it's equality, right? Like, you want this job. This is what comes with this job. And nobody holds back because it's a dude, blah, 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 blah. And things are going to happen. And there's a lot of money on the line. People are playing for some huge deals. Like, come on. And you got to take it. And clearly it was not a good night for her / the league.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I mean, this has been a theme around the NBA this season. I think referees have stepped into the far center of the conversation farther than ever should be the case here. And when we want to have these ratings conversations, sure, you can point to too many three-pointers or load management and a variety of reasons. I'll tell you firsthand that I personally feel frustrated when I'm flipping on a basketball game and it's constant free throws and referees speaking to the mic and reviews and the review system, another thing that is just completely broken within the NBA system at this point. So there are some real deal concerns as far as how the refereeing process is transpiring around the league. I don't have a clean fix or a day one fix or any of this stuff, but I do think like when having these conversations to how to make the NBA better, the referee is much more of a forefront conversation than I think the league has really addressed here.
All right. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And ugly night, but hey, Sixers found a way to win a ball game and
Big win.
putting it together, a couple wins here and there, slowly improving that win-loss record. So let's go ahead and update where the hell we're at as far as heading into Christmas Day tomorrow. Nobody playing today. Just to let everybody know, Sixers are currently 10-17, good for the 12 spot at this point in time. They are currently, what have they won
Game
in
and
the
a
last?
half.
Yeah,
Game and a half out of the play-in.
How many games have they won in their last 7, though? I think 5 out of their last 7. Am I wrong on that? Something 5 out of the last 8?
I know they're 7-3 in the last 10.
There you go. Let's just go with that. All right. Anyways, Cavs are currently in the 1 spot, 26-4. Celtics with a wild loss last night to Orlando, 22-7. Knicks, 3 seed, 19-10. Magic, as I said, big win, but man, they are just so hurt right now. 19-12 on the season. Milwaukee, fresh off of that in-season tournament championship, 16-12. Heat, 14-13. 7 seed for the Hawks, 15-15. 8 seed for the Pacers, 15-15. Then the Bulls, then the Pistons, then the Nets, then the Sixers. Wow, I can't believe the Nets have a better record than the Sixers at this point in time. Unbelievable.
Won't be for long.
No, man, a lot of games to be played. And Sean, you've been holding steady. You were one of the very, very few voices that I know that was singing the hang on. But we're still not out of the clear just yet. This team, look at last night. Even with everything that went down, Drummond hurt. Who else got hurt last night?
Who else did get hurt? I don't think did anyone else get hurt last night?
I thought Caleb Martin left the game, didn't he?
I will say this: he played for the first time in several games, and the hitch in his shot looks gone. I don't believe he left the game, unless I'm mistaken here. I will add one basketball takeaway from a Sixers perspective here. I want to show some love to Tyrese Maxey, man. Lost in a lot of the conversation for this season, and there's been a lot said about him. I think my takeaway for the season as a whole has been he's been missing shots. He hasn't been playing bad basketball. Like his efficiency numbers far below what you expect for him. This is a dude who's been top 5 in 3-point percentage 2 separate seasons in his NBA career already. Last night, man, he just wanted it. And that after Joel specifically got ejected from this game, there was like a level of confidence and attack mindedness that he was approaching the game that I just love when I see that version of him. I think there's been a lot of Jared McCain storylines, the Joel Embiid injury. Let's not get it lost that Tyrese Maxey is still that dude, a guy that I wholeheartedly trust, making the big plays in the fourth quarter, as was the case last night. That steal and slam to really cement that victory last night. Incredible stuff that not a lot of guys are making. So shout out to Tyrese. This team is still in good hands.
And I loved his answer after the game when he was talking to the press after the game, and they were like, "What was your take on everything?" He said, after Joel getting thrown, he said, "I thought it was amazing, great game. It was lit. It was fun."
he does it all the time, and I love it. That's good. Well done,
man. Yeah, man. So again, that's the shining star here, and a lot of changes taking place in the offseason that carried over into the regular season. And then let's not forget the fact that he was dealing with a tough injury. So you have all those changes, all those new pieces. Oh, by the way, now you get injured. He got the money, he got the deal, so the expectations are through the roof. There's a lot on Maxey's plate. Again, no excuses. This team has underperformed, but it is Christmas Eve. And we'll see what happens. I think it's extremely important that this team continues to win now. Don't talk to me about trade deadline. Don't talk to me about February. Don't talk to me about March. They need to put wins together. All right. And we'll see what happens over these next couple of weeks. But we'll be all over for you right here on The Gambler. Sean Bray, Sean Barnard. Of course, Sean covering all things for DraftKings Sportsbook. And you can go ahead and check out DraftKings and all of Sean's content once again over at dknetwork.com. No longer the nation. All right, let's keep it moving here. Let's talk a little bit about the 5 games we got going on tomorrow. First one up, San Antonio back on the road in the Garden, noon tip. Knicks, 9-point favorites, 223.5. Knicks winners of 4 straight, 5 out of their last 6. Of course, we just watched the Spurs. Sean Barnard, what are you eyeing up for this matchup here?
Yeah, I like the +9.5 for San Antonio. I'm seeing it drop to +9 on DraftKings right now. I think this turns out a little bit of a game. I mean, the Knicks are absolutely the better team. That the Spurs are still putting things together, but they're moving very much in the right direction. And there are some guys on this team. I mean, beyond Wemby, Harrison Barnes, just a good veteran to have. Didn't play particularly well last night. Shot 0 of 5 from the field. We do know what Chris Paul can still do. And again, a guy on the decline for his career, but still playing at a relatively high level. Finished with 12 and 8 last night. And then guys like Jeremy Sohan, Devin Vassell, I love, and I don't believe he's going to be back. Or no, Stephon Castle is officially back. He dropped 17 last night. Love his game and think he's going to make an impact in this, particularly at the guard spot here. I think Wemby's going to rise up when the lights are bright for Madison Square Garden there, and this being on Christmas. Clear that the NBA and is trying to boost him up as a little bit of this like face of the league type conversation here. I think this one ends up going down to the wire and stays below the 9-point spread there. So I still think the Knicks ultimately come out on top, but sign me up for somewhere in the range of like a 4-point victory for the Knicks tomorrow.
Excellent. Yeah, this is gonna be a great game, and it's one of the best. The fact that we're opening up shop with it, just perfect. This is the first time that these two teams have matched up this season, so interesting spot here. Again, Knicks much better as far as the team record is concerned at 19-10, but one game over 500 for the Spurs. So I kind of like that angle. All right, so if we're looking at one play from that game or one player prop from that game, is there a player that you have your eye on that you think will perform at the Garden?
I mean, Wemby's the obvious one here. His point prop sitting at 24.5. I do like that. As we mentioned with a lot of the 3-point conversation, I know I wrote yesterday pretty heavily about the over 2.5 threes for Wemby, which I don't believe hit that last night. Yeah, he finished 6 of 13. So look at that. He got hot later than I expected with that last night. I don't mind that direction again. That number's sitting at 3.5 for tomorrow, plus 120 for that. I also don't mind looking at Stephon Castle's numbers, and that's a guy that I would like to see his role grow a little bit more than has been be the case. They're still leaning on Chris Paul a little bit there, but as far as what his numbers are looking at and trying to find Castle is not listed just yet for tomorrow. Chris Paul at 8.5, I think is probably worth a good call on for points wise. I think he's still seeing more opportunity than I expected. I'll lock that in as my favorite play. I'll go Chris Paul plus 8.5 points tomorrow.
Yeah, Wemby for the 3-pointers, 3.5 plus 120. He's averaging 3.3 on the season. So do with that what you will, but that's a good game to get the party started tomorrow at noon. All right, next game up. Let's talk about the T-Wolves and the Dallas Mavericks, underperforming Minnesota Timberwolves here. And this should be a good one. A game being played in Dallas. Mavericks 5.5, 221.5 is your total in that one. These two teams last matched up on the 29th of October. Dallas getting the best of Minnesota, 120-114. That was in Minnesota. This game, obviously, in Dallas, as I just said. Dallas 19-10 on the season, 500 record for the Minnesota Timberwolves. All important ATS number. The Dallas Mavericks 17-11-1 this season. What are you looking at here, Sean?
I think I still like the underdog tomorrow, and I'm pretty close to talking about the plus 180 on the money line from Minnesota's perspective here. I still can't figure out what exactly is wrong with this Timberwolves team. The effort stuff from Julius Randle is definitely frustrating, and I know that's stuff that Knicks fans can relate to, and really the driving force of why he's not there anymore. Those certainly have shown up in recent games, but I still think like Anthony Edwards is desperately trying to boost this team. I think they're finding their identity on the defensive end a little bit more than was the case early on in the year. They're back in the top 10 in opponents' points per game, defensive efficiency, and a couple other metrics there. So I think that's the direction they need to continue leaning. I like this Mavericks team. I've seen, I guess, better flashes from them than I expect to be the case at this point. They did have a little turnover, adding guys like Najee Marshall, Klay Thompson there in the offseason. So some changes that have gone down after the Western Conference run. But I think tomorrow's another one that ends up a game, and I think the Timberwolves are kind of due for that signature win. So sign me up for the plus 5.5, and I will probably talk myself into plus 180 on the money line as well.
Give me a player you're eyeing up.
I think it starts and ends with Ant for tomorrow from that perspective. 24.5 is way too low for me from a player prop stuff. I have yet to see, and there's a lot of talk about his increased 3-point volume that has settled down a little bit from the start of the year, but he's still shooting at a really healthy rate from beyond the arc there. I think he gets active and, puts his fingerprints all over this game with the center stage on him. So I'm sticking with the superstar and signing up for Anthony Edwards over 24.5.
All right, next game up on the card. Let's talk about the Sixers and the Celtics. Sean Barnard already letting us know how he feels. So essentially, take the 10 at this point in time. But if you're feeling froggy, plus 350, sprinkle on that 222. This game is a 5 o'clock tip taking place in Boston. And again, where we're at right now, Sean, what's going on with the Celtics? This is a team that was far and away the best team last year, all throughout the course of the season. Porzingis comes back. It felt like this team was going to be special this year. Not to say that they're not great, because they are, but 22-7, they've lost 2 out of their last 3 to opponents, Chicago Bulls and the Orlando Magic. And no disrespect to the Magic, but they have nobody playing for them worth the damn at this point in time. Even was Suggs hurt last night too?
I think he played. I'm not sure if he got hurt during it. I didn't tune in.
So I take that back. Suggs is good. Other than that, they're scraping the barrel. Yeah, Suggs did play last night. But still, where we're at right now, as far as the Celtics, what's going on with Boston? If you can give us the 30,000-foot view here on the Boston Celtics headed in tomorrow.
Yeah, not worried about the Boston Celtics at all. They've been, right up at the top of the East, 22-7, as you mentioned, trailing the Cavs a little bit. Porzingis has returned, and I think there's been a couple growing pains with just fitting everything back together. I think you could argue that you've seen a little bit of flashes of Al Horford looking old and things like that. But as a whole, this team is incredibly good, incredibly deep. Jason Tatum's still at the forefront of everything, and I think doing his best to remain in that MVP mix a little bit more than he wants to publicly lead on to. I saw a couple of quotes about, his numbers not being as flashy, but being on a winning team, that kind of thing. So I think that buzz will continue. But he's right up there with the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders and the Luka Doncic when you look at the shooting numbers and everything like that. Jaylen Brown's still excellent. This is a very good basketball team. They won a championship for a reason last year, and I think rightfully are the title favorites once again this season. So no amount of panic for me for Boston at this point in time.
Oh, you're not putting the Sixers in front of them for the title this year?
Not yet. We'll get there.
Yeah, Tatum, he is an absolute MVP candidate, averaging 28-8, 9.3, 5.7 assists. He's doing it all. Of course, Jaylen Brown, still badass this year. He's averaging 23-9, 6 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and of course won the MVP last year as far as the finals were concerned. Maxey, though, how about from the perspective of the stars in this game? Could we see Tyrese Maxey say, you know what, man? Again, get out of the way. I just came off a game where I scored 32, hit the game winner, put the dagger in the San Antonio Spurs. Give me the Rockets Christmas Day. It's my time.
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible there. And when you talk about stylistically how these teams will match up, what the Celtics want to do is they're going to space the floor. They're going to launch threes. That's the way that they play the game. They get up 3-pointers at a higher rate than any other team. Tyrese Maxey is the clear answer to that from a Sixers perspective, that he is going to have to be the guy to match that there. So I do think that's a decent perspective to have, specifically when looking at his 3-point numbers for tomorrow. It's at over 3.5 at plus 124. I do think that's worth a shot on. And I will note once again that he is shooting the ball much better of late. Those percentages moving in the right direction. I expect to continue for last night's game specifically, that Maxey shot 5 of 11 from beyond the 3-point arc. I wouldn't even be shocked if his volume's higher than that tomorrow. So I do like the over 3.5 at plus 124 odds there. And I still think Joel has his moments as well. His point prop has dropped after sitting at 30.5 last night, back down to 25.5 for this game. So I do like that number there. I do think Joel will get his 30 and be active in this game. I think probably the way to bet that, if you want to attack Joel Embiid's perspective, I like the combo number a little better. That number's at 37.5. I think he has been really impressive as a playmaker this year. Hasn't been as active on the boards, but still going to get his, even in a game like last night in the short amount of time that he did spend. Still grabbing 3 rebounds and an assist in that. So I think Embiid's going to be active from start to finish. I probably like the 37.5 at a combo, and the Joel Embiid and the Tyrese Maxey 3-point numbers there.
Joel Embiid 3-1 on Christmas Day, and he's had 30 points in 3 of the games, including 35 in a victory over the Knicks back in 2022. So JoJo loves the shine on Christmas Day. That's where I was thinking more than anything as far as Maxey is concerned. You're right about the Celtics, what they want to do, what they will do. As far as two parts on that, number one, defensively from the Sixers perspective, on the perimeter, how do they match up going up against those guys and defending the 3-pointers if you know they're going to shoot a bunch of them?
Yeah, for starters, Paul George is going to earn his money tomorrow. That these are the types of matchups that he's brought in for Jason Tatum. And I will note once again, he was a late scratch from last night's game with an illness. We'll know more about that as tip-off gets closer and probably later today. I would expect him to be there with the bright lights, Christmas on him. And Tatum is a guy who is going to play whenever he can. He's certainly falls into that category there. I would expect that Paul George probably gets the Jason Tatum matchup. And again, like these are why you bring Paul George in, even though he's not quite Jason Tatum as a basketball player, he can still match up from a physical standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, and be a guy that looks him eye to eye. Kelly Oubre Jr., I think deserves more love than he's gotten this year. He's been excellent defensively. Wouldn't shock me if he probably gets one of maybe the Derek White, I guess, assignment there would probably be my guess. Kelly tends to do better when he is matching up with smaller guards and guys that he can use his length. The dude has a 7-foot wingspan that he's constantly poking and prodding at the ball, so they tend to like to put him on ball handlers there. I wouldn't be surprised if Yabusele is a guy that plays a little bit of a bigger role, and particularly when they go to the non-Joel Embiid lineups, that he's the guy at the 5 to match this kind of 5-out space the floor offense. The Sixers have leaned into that with Yabusele on the offensive end plenty. I think he's probably the answer for an uptick in minutes from like a matchup perspective there, but we'll be interesting to see how they break the rest of it down.
Who's guarding the big man from the Celtics? How do they pursue that?
For Porzingis?
No, for Embiid.
I would guess. I mean, Al Horford is a guy who unfortunately has been one of the better defenders on Joel Embiid for the better part of a decade at this point. I would guess that is the case. Porzingis will have his moments as well. I mean, it is how it always is. Joel's going to have his. He's going to get the guy in foul trouble. They're going to rotate to the next one, and we repeat as accordingly. So I do expect that to be the case. I think Horford will have his flashes. He is one of the headier defenders that I've ever seen, as frustrating that is to admit. So I think Horford probably gets first dibs and Porzingis gets mixed in as well.
All right, let's talk about the next game up. We got Golden State and the Lakers, game being played in Golden State. This is their first time matching up this season. They have yet to play a game. Wow, that's it's significant. I mean, it's Christmas Day here. Maybe they were saving it for that simple reason. Golden State 3.5, 224.5. Last time we spoke, Golden State was leaking oil in a major way. Is that still going on in the Bay Area?
Yeah, still going on in the Bay Area. I was able to catch the end of their loss last night to the Indiana Pacers, which is not a great loss for them. Steph Curry showing some struggles. He finished with just 10 points on 2 of 13 shooting in this one. They're desperately trying to just keep this championship window open to get some sort of growth from a lot of their young players, the Jonathan Kumingas, the Brandon Pajewski, all these players that they're hoping can take that next leap. It really has not happened yet. And I give credit to Steve Kerr. He's absolutely trying. We've seen 12-man rotations. We've seen Draymond Green get set to the bench. We've seen guys like Lindy Waters get thrown into the starting lineup and try and make an impact there. So he's trying all these different things, throwing stuff at the wall. But unfortunately, not much is sticking right now. But on the other side of things, I don't have much more of an optimistic view from this Lakers team. We know sort of the situation. LeBron James and Anthony Davis, the story. I just don't think there is enough talent behind that as far as a supporting cast conversation. As much as I love players like Dalton Connect and Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, can we honestly look at ourselves and say a team with those guys as your third option is ready to be an actual contender? And I don't think that is the case here. I still think I think I'm sticking with the underdog once again and think the Lakers get the job done tomorrow. That I do think Christmas, always means something a little bit more. I've been really concerned with everything that I've seen for the Warriors in recent games, and even last night, the opportunity was 1,000% there for the taking. The team was unable to find a way to finish it there. So I like the Lakers to take care of business and get the outright win on Christmas, but I do have concerns about both these teams from the wider view.
Yeah, you're right about that. All right. LeBron back in action, scored 28 last time out against the Detroit Pistons, and which was last night, 117, 140, 114 loss by the Lakers at home, but they've won 3 out of the last 4. So something to keep in mind. And on the flip side, the Golden State Warriors have lost 4 out of the last 5, I believe it is. Right here, right now, 3.5, as we said, and Golden State favored at home. I'm riding with you on that one. I like the dog here as well, man. The dogs are barking on Christmas Day. Where are we going from the player prop standpoint on DraftKings for this game?
Yeah, unlike all of my other directions here, I don't have a lot of confidence in the stars in this one. You can talk me into a little bit more on LeBron. Curry's been all over the map as far as his shooting splits, really uncharacteristic for him. There's certainly a chance that he breaks free and that this is the matchup where everything goes right for him, but I kind of got to believe it to see it at this point. I think I'm looking the direction of a guy like Jonathan Kuminga here, and I'm mad that there is not props listed for him at this current point. I don't mind the Dennis Schroeder kind of outlook here, 19.5. He's getting plenty of opportunity for this Warriors team. I was kind of impressed with how much he was on the floor last night. That's from a player combo perspective, that 19.5. I think that's probably my favorite for now. I'm very curious to see what the Kuminga numbers pop up at. I'd be pretty comfortable with that in the 26.5, 27.5 range. I think he gets that fairly confident from a combo perspective there. But for the time being, while that's not listed, I'll go with Schroeder over 19.5 points, rebounds, and assists there.
What are you looking for, Kuminga? Are you looking for points and rebounds? Or are you looking for all three?
That was all three. What do you got?
All right, so points and rebounds, I got 21 for minus 115 for Kuminga. And then for points, rebounds, and assists for Kuminga, I got 25 plus at plus 120.
Okay. I think I like the points and rebounds conversation there. Minus 115 for what was the number?
For points, rebounds only for Jonathan Kuminga, 21 plus at minus 115.
Okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable with that for sure. I do think Kuminga, they're really trying to throw into the forefront of being that guy and having that level of opportunity. He is a pretty incredible athlete, but still kind of putting the pieces together. I think I like that number there. You can sign me up for that.
You know what is going to be one of the most bet props tomorrow in this game?
What's that?
Buddy Hield threes. Come on down.
I love Buddy, man. I'm not going to be talking bad about Buddy, but it certainly has regressed from what was the start of the season, the little honeymoon period. He tends to have those everywhere. He still brings something for this Warriors team, but I think we kind of know who Buddy Hield is and who he isn't at this point in his career. Still think he's a good option for them to have on this roster, but not nearly keeping up with that role that he flashed to be at the start of the season.
3 of 6 in that last game out for Buddy Hield. Again, everybody loves to wager on Buddy Hield's three-pointers made. Just to let you know, he went over his 2.5 last night against the Pacers, as I said. Went over 2.5 against Minnesota. Under, over. He's 5 out of 6 going over his totals as far as three-pointers are concerned.
Hey, over 2.5 plus 140.
How about that? All right. Well, again, tomorrow, I'm sure people will be talking themselves into a Buddy Hield prop or two there. All right. Final game on the NBA card, Christmas night. Let's go to Phoenix in the desert. They're 3-point dogs at home against the Denver Nuggets. 233.5 is our total. Sean Barnard, your thoughts? 10:32.
Yeah, I think I'm rolling with the dogs across the board in this one here. That I will note first off, the Phoenix Suns without Devin Booker for this one. He's battling a groin injury, will be reevaluated. But Kevin Durant's still that dude, and I think that Denver running into a little bit of the same problem where Nikola Jokic is that guy, but their supporting cast is not the same. And I mean, Jamal Murray, I have serious concerns about at this point that I'm just not seeing it the same way I once did. The movement doesn't look the same to me. The kind of quick twitch, change of direction that is really important part of his game just doesn't look to quite be there for me. Michael Porter Jr. showing a little bit of signs of, I guess, I wouldn't say fatigue or decline. It's just kind of been inconsistent is what you're seeing from him. It is nice having Aaron Gordon back, and I think he's brought something to this team, but I like what I've seen from this Phoenix Suns team. I think they compete defensively. I think Kevin Durant's been excellent. Bradley Beal playing a little bit more solid basketball and just bringing it at a more consistent level. Booker's obviously a big loss, but they have guys like Royce O'Neal. I think Yusuf Nurkic is, while he's not excellent by any means, he can be a body that sticks up for Jokic specifically here. So I like the Suns to find a way to win this one, and I think they're a little bit more legitimate contenders than they've been given credit this year.
All right. Well, I dig that from the standpoint of the dogs across the board. We gave our listeners a bunch of player props to keep an eye on and see if they find anything that they like in the 4 previous games. Now let's close up shop. As far as the Nuggets and Suns, where are we looking from a standpoint in this game here from a player prop?
Yeah, it's tough. The points, nothing really particularly jumps out to me. I mean, Jokic across the board has been unbelievable. He's top 3 in the league in points, rebounds, and assists on the season as a whole. I do like his rebounding number at 11.5. That's minus 135 there, so a little bit of juice, but averaging about 13 a game on the season. And I do think that he's outside of Nurkic, and he's going to get the better of Nurkic for sure. He's going to have I wouldn't shock me if this is a 15-plus rebound performance from Jokic there, so I do like that number as well. As far as the assist conversation, I do like Tyus Jones' number as well. That's at 6.5 at minus 125. I think without Devin Booker, that he's very clearly being the point guard in this offense, setting the table for guys like Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant there. And I think it's a really important role that this team needs, and Tyus Jones plenty capable of filling it. So those are probably my 2 favorites: the over 6.5 assists for Tyus Jones and over 11.5 boards for Jokic there.
All right. Great stuff across the board on all things NBA. Sean Barnard, we're not done just yet. We do have 2 NFL games. Of course, you cover everything over at DraftKings. Curious your thoughts on both of these games if you have a play on any of them. The Chiefs and Steelers open up at 1 o'clock. Chiefs 3-point road favorites in Pittsburgh. Ravens at 4:30. They're 5.5-point favorites on the road in Houston. So 2 road favorites, intriguing spots in both of these games. Short week across the board. We're talking about straight up chaos. Chaos tomorrow on Christmas. Anything for you in these 2 games? Because I've had a hard time. George Pickens is expected to play for Pittsburgh. Let's start there. I think the Chiefs are primed for an upset here. I really do. Short week. It's tough. But, man, the Steelers have been playing terrible football. But getting Pickens back, that's a huge deal. Anything for you in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Chiefs have been due for an upset victory for seemingly 3 months now. It feels like every week a team got a chance, got them on the ropes, and can't deliver that knockout punch. So I have a hard time talking myself into it. Probably my favorite play in that matchup. I do like the under of 43.5. I think this turns into a gritty, defensive-minded game. That's sort of how I see this being slow-paced. I do feel stronger about the second game. I like the Ravens -5.5 here. That I think the injury is just getting a little bit too concerning for this Texans team. Obviously, prayers up to Tank Dell. Really unfortunate, that serious knee injury that he sustained. Stephon Diggs has already been out for the season with his ACL tear. Nico Collins has also dealt with some injuries there. He's back now as well. But I just think we're reaching a point where the Texans have kind of underwhelmed from the season as a whole. The injuries are really piling up for that roster. And I think this Ravens team still has yet to play their fully best football in the season. I think that very well could happen tomorrow. So I like the -5.5, and I think there's a bit of a statement win for Baltimore.
Short weeks for both of these games, all 4 teams. I'm having a hard time giving 5.5 on the road here in Houston. I really am. And I loved the Ravens last week. That was one of my favorite plays, if not my favorite play. Oh, by the way, 4-0 on the Seth Joyner TV show. Yeah.
Well
and
done.
if I went 0-4, I would have heard about it. But you know what, Sean Barnard? Not a damn thing was said when I go 4-0. But I appreciate
give that pat on the back for yourself. There we go.
Damn right. So no shame in my game, you know that. I just, again, I right now I have a hard time giving 5.5 on the road, but I agree with everything you said. I think maybe D'Amico might be able to cook something up, but man, that Ravens offense is rolling right now, so I'd be reluctant to go either which way in that. That might be just a live wager. I like your angle from the total as far as that is concerned. And even in both games, I really do think that is a nice angle as far as unders are concerned for both of those games, and maybe get involved in a live action. But tomorrow's an NBA game, or an NBA day. So good luck on all of those plays. Sean, great job across the board, man. We'll catch up after Christmas, and of course, right before the New Year's and all that. So we got plenty to record, but man, have a great Christmas to you and your family. Can't thank you enough for popping up on here. And, of course, our listeners out there, everybody have a great holiday. We'll be back on Thursday. Luke Arcani, Sam Ostry is going to join me. And we'll be back hopefully talking about a Sixers Christmas Day victory. Any final words, Sean Barnard?
Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays to everyone out there. Enjoy the time with the family, and looking forward to catching up again, Brace. So yeah, the NBA season officially starts tomorrow, everyone. We'll keep that in the notes from a Sixers perspective moving forward.
Did you know that Hanukkah is spelled 2 different ways?
Yeah, there's the C in front and then the normal H, right?
I don't know if I can't remember. I've seen the C before. I saw it the other night. We had some blow up, and I brought this up, and then my wife was like, "You never saw Smokey Robinson in a cameo?" And I said, "No, Smokey Robinson, the great R&B Motown singer, we did a cameo," and he's like, "Happy Chinook." I don't know what that is, but happy Chinook to you.
That's awesome. Funny. I have not seen that either, but I was aware.
Yeah, I want to put that out there. And then finally, I did scoop this up. This is going into Gambler Studio. 365 days of gambling. It's like the highlight or the far side. That's what it was. The counter that you rip the page away when you're done with it. Trivia, tips, and more. 2025. It is at rxgcollective.com. This is a great stocking stuff. We're a little late for that. Great present, but this is definitely going into Gambler Gang Studio, and we're going to have some fun with this, man. So I scooped this up. I bought it for a present, but I guess we're all getting it in the studio, so good stuff there. Everybody have a great Christmas. Good luck on those plays, and we will talk to you on Thursday. Peace.